Hello, let's try to see some radical operations. We'll combine multiplication, addition, subtraction. We'll basically use distributive law and see how in radical functions it is done. Procedure is similar, okay? Let's take an example. Let's say square root of 2 times 3 square root 5 minus 7. Now, so basically we are multiplying. Within the bracket we have 3 square root 5 minus 1, both these terms with square root 2. So once we do the square root 2 times this, we said the coefficient or the number before the radical is 1. So 1 times 3 is 1 and we just get 3, and square root 5 times 2, 10. So this is equal to 3 square root 10 minus, here there is nothing in the radical, and 7 gets multiplied with 1 and we get 1 square root 2. So that's how we distribute it. Let me take another example. Let's say 3 square root 5. This type I'm taking a mixed radical, okay, times this also mixed radical plus 3 plus square root 5. So there are 3 terms in the bracket, and we'll multiply each with 3 square root 5. So when we do 3 times 2, we get 6, and 5 times square root 2 gives us square root 10. So this is equal to 3 times 2, which is 6, and 5 times 2, which is 10. Plus we multiply with this number. There's no radical here. So 3 gets 3 times, we get 9 square root 5. And when you do square root 5 times square root 5, you get 25 within square root, whose square root is 5. So we can write this as plus 3 times 5. Now let's simplify it. Now this is like 3 times 2, 6 square root 10 plus 9 square root 5 plus 15. See, we don't have like radicals, so we can't really combine them. So that's our final answer, correct? Now this is when one mixed radical is being multiplied with 2 or 3 terms within a bracket. Now let's see, if we have a set of radicals like this, that means let's say 2 square root 3 minus 5 square root 2 times square root 3 plus 3 square root 2. Now here, as in distributive property, we'll go, this gets multiplied with both the terms first, right? So this gets multiplied with this, and when we do so, we get 2 times 1 is the number in this mixed radical outside the radical sign. So 2 times 1 is just 2, and 3 square root times 3 square root is number 3. So we get this equals to 2 times 3. Now when you multiply this with the second term, what do you get? 3 times 2, 6, sign is plus, and square root 3 times square root 2 is square root 6. Now let's do this with this. Now here minus times plus is minus 5 square root 6, and then minus times plus is minus 5 times 3 is 15, and within radical we have square root 2 times square root 2, which is number 2, correct? So when you multiply this with this, you get this. Now let's combine the like terms. Just as we have in polynomials the like terms, these are also like radicals and they can be combined, okay? So we get 2 times 3 is 6 plus 6 minus 5 is 1 square root 6. So let me write this as square root 6 minus 15 times 2 is 30. Now there are no more like terms. We can combine these 2 terms and get minus 24 plus square root 6 as a final answer. Okay, so this is one way of doing it. Let me take another example, and let's say we have difference of square as well. We're product of differences. For example, this is, let me take this, 2 square root 5 minus 3 square root 2 times 2 square root 5 plus 3 square root 2. It's like a minus b times a plus b, and we will get difference of squares when we do it. Let's see, do we get difference of squares here also? So we'll do the same thing here, multiply this with this and then with this, right? Now if we do so, we get 2 times 2, 4, and square root of 5 times 5 is just the number 5. So it is 4 times 5, which is basically square of this, right? Now when you multiply this, you get 2 times 3 is 6, and square root of 5 times square root 2 is square root 10. Now let's multiply with the second term. Minus sign, plus and minus when multiplied gives you minus. 3 times 2, 6. 5 times 2, within radical we have number 10. Minus 3 times minus 3 is minus 9, and square root 2 times square root 2 is the number 2. Now 5 times 4, 20. 6 square root 10 minus 6 square root 2, 10. They are like terms and they cancel each out. This is just 0. And left with 20 minus 18, which gives us number 2. So this basically is 2. You'll see 20 is square of 2 square root 5. Square of 2 square root 5 is 4 times 5, which is 20. And 3 square root 2 square is 9 times 2, 18. And so we do get difference of squares with this. I hope you understand the process. It is very similar to normal polynomial operations. The only thing you have to remember is that when you multiply radicals, radicals within radicals get multiplied as shown above. And so do some practice problems and then see if you understand. These are a few questions for you to try. Let's say this is one, you can try this and then do this. Here we have a radical, and here this is with mixed radical. And we can do like this, 2 square root 5, let me take 1 whole square. And then 1 you can try with plus sign in between. Let's say 2 square root 7 plus square root 3 whole square. That means you are multiplying 2 square root 7 plus 3 with 2 square root 7 plus 3. Try these problems and see if you have really understood the process. Otherwise, you have the flexibility of going through this video again. I hope you get it. Okay? Thanks a lot.